him gone?
People, bro. That's the
Shoot, he might be a legal citizen. Damn it, I want him gone. But most likely he's a legal citizen. Most likely.
disgrace, bro. It's so embarrassing, bro.
You guys didn't hotel room? You guys didn't have a bed to sleep and you slept on cots. You had Costco pizza. That's what the government thinks of you.
I would say generally on deployment, people probably aren't in beds. Just from being in the military.
These people are deployed.
Oh, that's what I said.
And shout out to Michelle Glass. Sorry, I almost missed your super chat. She said, I believe I could fix immigration. And you're correct, Set. Hey, appreciate that.
Yeah.
To protect the society.
I agree. I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't hear that a lot. Usually the Dems just hit me when I'm wrong and nothing else.
when you're comparing ICE literally staying at the Garden Inn Hilton in Arcadia, the least they could do for you is a Motel 6, right? That's the class war we're talking about, dude. You're not with them, you're with us.
If I had to guess, I would say that there's probably not. Can I ask you a question, actually?
No, because I kind of know what your vibe is.
Well, you have a vibe too, so you can
Okay.
ask me a question.
My vibe's the same as everybody else here. Yours is the one that's different. So you're good. You're the vibe that's different. Get out of here.
That's a weird. It's a weird way to go about it.
Explain to me what you believe. I'm actually not.
Sorry that they're making you do this.
I'm here for the conversation. What do you believe?
Well, I don't like the communist talking points, so I'm generally against communists.
That's not a communist.
Well, a class war.
I didn't say class war. I said class solidarity.
Well, where does class solidarity come from?
Class solidarity comes from the fact that you shouldn't, by peaceful means, you shouldn't be doing things that, class solidarity is literally just the idea that you shouldn't be doing things violently or non-violently that trades against your own financial well-being.
But that's a Marxian idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean,
Here's can you just let me talk? The big point everybody's making, all right, is that these dudes right here are closer to an immigrant than they are to Donald Trump.
Well, a lot of them
That's all
probably
it
are
is.
immigrants.
Democratic politician. LA's under control. We don't need a National Guard. Everything is fine.
Get your fucking mask on. Go, keep going.
It's great, guys.
We're trying to cling to a democracy here. It is not normal. You guys are exploiting this mask creep ever since the pandemic. You're like, oh, the pandemic lets us wear masks. And now we have secret police. And now we have secret police in this supposed democracy. Like, it is shameful.
Like I said, I wouldn't even blame secret. You can't really call it secret police. I would say in this day and age where a cop showing his face could pretty much mean his family getting harassed, I would kind of blame, honestly, the public on that. The new, tech and the public, because we do have a nature of trying to, ruin people's lives that we disagree with for some crazy reason. I can never fathom it. I'm never just going to go out my way to try to ruin somebody's life because they disagree with me. But Dems, let's be honest now. Y'all be doxing people. Y'all be trying to find out who they are, who their parents are, who their sister, family members, friends. And you'll go out there in their DMs and try to shame them and write very vile things to them. So here's the thing. When you guys go out there and do that, and there's many examples of you guys doing that, why should the police unmask again? It's a bit of an unreasonable request.
If you have any integrity, mask off! Mask off! If you're doing the right thing, masks off!
They do not understand, mask off. Why? And I'd hit him with the, all right, well, when you see their face, then what do you think is going to happen? And he's probably not going to have an answer. He's like, well, that means they're no longer secret. That means that's democracy. Yeah, but if their family starts getting harassed, right, or the family members start getting attacked because you wanted to get their mask off, will you take responsibility personally? Will you be a personal bodyguard just in case things go wrong? I doubt it. So you asking for their mask off is really a very stupid thing to do. And you really don't care about the safety of these guys or their family members. You're just really honestly thinking in the moment without any care for anybody or anything else.
This is not normal.
They're cowards. They wasn't there. They just doing their job like God did, right? Cowards. Cowards.
You have any integrity, and you wearing a flag, that's against the uniform shit. And this masked police shit is the most un-American shit. We are living through the decline of our democracy, and you assholes are making history. Masks off!
They wasn't there. They weren't
Masks
on their face.
off!
Cowards.
You have no rights on the streets of Los Angeles, covering your faces.
Well, one of them took their mask off, and what you gonna do? What you gonna do, bro?
Masks off!
I told the lady to cover her face, man. I'm like, lady, if anything happens to you, report it.
You. You should be charged for flag violation.
Huh?
You're not supposed to wear our flag, ass. You
What?
know that's a flag code violation. Masks off!
Okay.
Oh, there's our friend. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Oh,
I got
damn.
it.
Okay, never mind. I thought it was
YouTube's
it's one of those things you cannot say. All right, let's go with Charlie Kirk because he says, I found out why Democrats are defending the violent riots. Let's see what Charlie Kirk is saying.
The last couple of days. Now to the main news that's been dominating the last couple of days, which is the riots that started in Los Angeles. And there's some unrest in Atlanta, and it's been spreading to other cities. What are Democrats saying about this internally? Externally, some are still calling it peaceful protests. And in fact, LA was so peaceful that Karen Bass had to do a curfew. It's amazing. She had to contain the peacefulness by issuing a curfew. Now, to Senator John Fetterman's credit, he said, look, this is not peaceful. This is a riot. What are we doing here? This is violent. Explain to me, because is that a little bit of a divide in the Democrat Party, like one that's living in reality and one that's living in fantasy land? Please, Mark.
It is. It's another divide where the larger group is the group that's wedded to the past. There's some important issues here. I don't think anyone should be cavalier about putting National Guard or active duty military on the streets of the United States, whatever they're going to be doing. That should be done with thoughtfulness and care and fidelity to the law and the Constitution. And I think the debate about what to do with the tens of millions or maybe millions, well, it's hard to say, but certainly millions of people who came to this country illegally and since then, as far as we know, have committed no crimes and have contributed to society and are woven into the fabric of a lot of communities. Those are two really important debates to have. But Democrats can't move to those debates for two reasons. One is their positions on those two issues are, for the most part, out of the mainstream. And confronting that is something they don't want to do. And second, again, back to Trump derangement syndrome, they just want to talk about Donald Trump having a secret plan to declare a military junta in the United States and have active duty military shooting civilians all over the country. The most Democrats now look at Gavin Newsom with new enthusiasm and excitement because they just want there to be a big fight between the resistance and the president. That's where most Democrats are. Some, like John Fetterman, and he's not the only one, David Ignatius, columnist in the Washington Post today, said quite plainly, this is a 10-year failure on the part of the Democrats. Like, we can't be in the debate about use of the military. We can't be in the debate about who should be deported if the Democratic Party doesn't have a clear point of view about some of these issues where they are on the wrong side of things. Yeah. That position is...
That's what I'm saying. And I always say the main problem with the Democrats is they have all the criticism in the world with, well, no solutions. No solutions, no correct policies. I'm like, look, if you don't like the way we're doing it, then why don't you give us something better instead of criticizing it and trying to call us Nazis?
Smaller than the Trump derangement syndrome one, and it's not dominant. They can barely get the words out of their mouth to say there's no problem or there is a problem. And you point out the strangeness of the mayor saying everything's fine, but we need a curfew. The reality is there's a lot of issues here. This is quite simple to me. Federal law enforcement was doing something that was a campaign promise of the president, but also is under the law. And state and local officials could not protect either them or civic order and private property. Pretty basic. The President of the United States is responsible for protecting ICE officers. The President of the United States is got to have to ensure domestic tranquility if state and local officials can't or won't. And there's no local police force in the country, with the possible exception of Gotham City, who has the capacity to put in the physical infrastructure to make sure there is order restored and civic unrest deterred and property destruction unmolested. The Democrats just can't talk about these issues because they don't want to come clean with their being on the wrong side of so many of the underlying factors. And until that happens, my friend John Podhoretz tweeted this morning that he's watching the Democratic Party lock in their minority status for 20 years because of their failure to just speak the truth about what's going on. It might be a little bit of an overstatement, but it's certainly a minority of Democrats.
They taking pictures behind a burning car with the fighting sign and all that, with the fighting pose and all that good stuff, waving their flag. Yep, they gotta go.
Now I talked to who seem to get what's happening.
Yeah, and so first of all, I agree with everything you said. No one should want to cavalierly throw the National Guard on the street. My opinion was always I would rather be on the side of not necessarily being wrong, but a little bit overreacting early than late after 2020, where I feel as if there was widespread destruction. So at least that's my temperament angling in that direction. And I'm willing to hear, a counter to that. I will say, though, someone that is non-political in my life, just a working class person, she's great. She voted for Trump, but she can go either way. So funny. Ran into her and she's like, Charlie, what is up with these riots? She comes out of nowhere. She says, this is what the Democrats do, right? I feel like every couple years they just burn down our cities. And for me, it was if this is just a meta narrative. Again, she does not know about the big, beautiful bill. She doesn't know about, any of this stuff. It's just like the one thing that for her, it's pattern recognition. She's like, I feel like every couple years they're just burning stuff down. And I don't like that. And for her, that is just a tattooed impression, more so than Trump impeachments, more so than all the stuff that they're throwing at Donald Trump. He's an insurrectionist. There's something about chaos in the streets that politically is very unpopular. Who would have ever thought so, Mark? And then connected also to the Democrats back in the 70s. Isn't there a connection to how the Democrats played a little bit of footsie with these guys back in the 60s or 70s, and they were not rewarded very much?
Yeah. Being the party of weakness and tolerance for violence, it's not a winning place. And we've always had in the modern...
Yeah, it'll never be a winning position when you just kind of let the illegals or the criminals do whatever they want. The worst part is you let the illegals criminals get off the worst. For some reason, you guys would lock these guys up, let them back out. They commit another crime. And I mean, one of the reasons why you can't really hit them through due process is, well, you don't got no biometric data on them. And then for some reason, you guys are told to leave illegals alone. So this is kind of, the sanctuary city states and, their governor's fault. And then, of course, the city mayors. Yeah.
Do you think that it...
But let's get right into this guy, because this guy's been circling around. Senator Padilla, on his removal and handcuff at the DHS press conference. So, yes, Department of Homeland Security. Pretty much he got arrested and removed out of there. Let's hear his thoughts on it.
It was because of, do you think that it was because of how you look?
Look, I don't know what the motives are. I think the point is this, Aaron, and as I said, when I came out of the building a little while after the incident, if this can happen to me, a United States Senator representing the state of California, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security and the people around the secretary will treat a United States Senator for having the audacity to ask a question, then imagine what they can do, imagine what they are doing to people in communities, not just throughout Los Angeles, but throughout the country. Now, but back to the facts at hand here, because I also heard Governor Pawlenty's remarks. So let me just set the record straight. The point was made, this wasn't at a park, this wasn't in front of a shopping center, this was inside a secure federal building. Yes, I myself went through security screening to enter the building. Why was I even there? I was there for a scheduled briefing with representatives of NORTHCOM, Northern Command, because from the Department of Defense to the Department of Homeland Security to the White House and everywhere in between, this is an administration that has been anything but transparent and accountable to the members of the Senate, to the Congress in general, in our role of oversight and accountability. We have questions. We have questions. How is it that Donald Trump would, against the wishes of the governor of California, against the wishes of local law enforcement, federalize National Guard troops and deploy them into a city where local law enforcement says, we can control this.
And so, Senator,
go ahead.
No, I just want to say we're awaiting an order from the judge, which we expect could come anytime, actually, in the next sort of 15 to 20 minutes on that order, because there was a hearing today. So we could get that news even as you and I are speaking. But I understand that it's just when you look at these images, and your staff was there, they were able to record what happened in the room. And then when they took you in the hall outside and they put you on the ground and they handcuffed you, and everybody's watching it, and people are trying to understand what happened. It's unsettling. I mean, can I just show again the moment that you were detained, Senator? Because they're telling you to put your hands behind your back. They force you to the ground. They handcuff you, right? And this is after in the room you'd asked a question. Now, when she was talking, it did sound like you were talking over her. You heard the governor say you were trying to create a spectacle. Tell me exactly what happened. You're just sitting in the room, and then what? Tell me how you see it.
So here's what happened. So I'm in the conference room a couple doors down waiting this briefing with representatives of Northern Command. We learned almost on the spot that there's this press conference going on down the hall. Now my briefing is delayed because of the folks in that press conference. From the moment I entered the building, I'm being escorted by a member of the National Guard and an FBI agent. I asked, well, since we're waiting, can we go listen into the press conference? They escort me over to the press conference. They opened the door for me. I'm standing in the back, behind the reporters, behind the cameras, just listening in. And at one point, the rhetoric just got to be too much. Not the first time, but the second time the secretary.
AKA, you got emotional and you let your emotion get the best of you and you kind of lunged at the director of Homeland Security. Bro, have you lost your mind? Like, I don't care, bro. It doesn't matter about the rhetoric. You're a senator. Compose yourself. So you're telling me that somebody can just get you that angry as a senator? You know what? You're going to start jumping at him? What you going to do? Start yelling in that lady's face? Like, how would you look? How would that look as a man? Yes, on public TV, you're just going to yell in the lady's face. And then actually, it would be scary enough. The Dems would probably champion that. A grown man yelling in a lady's face.
Secretary takes it upon herself to say that the Trump administration wants to liberate the people of Los Angeles from the governor and the mayor. It was just too much. And so, yes, I said who I was. I began to ask a question, and it was maybe half a second later before there was multiple agents on me. They shoved me outside. I was trying to both get my question out and not lose my balance. One is telling me, get down on my knees. Another one's pushing me in a different direction. There was no resistance. To the contrary, I kept asking, why am I being detained? Get down on your knees turns into flat on the floor. I'm trying, but I'm being pushed and pulled in different directions. And finally down on the floor, they handcuff me multiple times. Why am I being detained? No response, no response, no response. Finally, minutes later, I guess somebody around the secretary.
I mean, bro, have you ever, I ain't gonna lie, he sounds kind of spoiled right now, because this is kind of what happens when you kind of, well, he pretty much just said, yeah, I'm kind of resisting arrest. Why am I being detained? Which means you're most likely pulling back. You're probably already snatched away from an officer a couple of times. You're yelling out loud during a press conference. What do you think's gonna happen? I mean, that's what they do. If you come out yelling at a press conference, acting crazy, I don't care who you are, senator or not, you're gonna get that same response.
Secretary realizes this is the United States senator, and they come running down the hall and finally say, let him go. Again, the point is, if it can happen to me in that setting, imagine what they're doing to people all around the country. And Aaron, let me also underscore this. It's not just about immigrants' rights, which so many peaceful protesters are shouting about in Los Angeles. It's about all of our rights. The reason this crisis, this spectacle has been created by the Trump administration this week is because of all the bad headlines of recent weeks, right? Their budget bill is being exposed for what it is, gutting healthcare, gutting the social safety net to underwrite tax breaks for the rich. He certainly hasn't brought peace between Russia and Ukraine. He's losing every other day in court. He's broken up with his BFF Elon Musk. So what does he do? He distracts and he scapegoats and demonizes immigrants.
So, Senator, can I ask?
Just the illegals, just the illegal immigrants, not the legal immigrants, not all immigrants. That's what the left be kind of misleading you on. Not all immigrants, just the illegals. Is that so hard to understand? Like, what's so hard to understand that we're only going after the illegals? You guys throwing yourselves in there like, well, you're after us too. No, we're not. You're a legal migrant. I mean, we don't care about y'all right now. Actually, we don't care about y'all at all. You're here legally. So if you want to get your legal brethren and tell them to come on over and self-deport and maybe we can let them back in, I would advise you guys to do that. But the fight for them to sit here still illegally is not the best stance. You could help them, I don't know, follow the law, but instead you want to help them break the law and stand against the American law. That's just not the right way. Like I said, this is a very immature way to go about it, Dems, because there's a lot more civil way you could do this, but you chose violence, so you're getting it.
Oh,
and shout out to Michelle Glass. They want the mugshot because it helped Trump. Hey, shout out. And if that's really what they're going for, you're stupid. Like, to be honest, because they're like, no, if I get a mugshot, I'm gonna be president. I think that's what Gavin's going for too. As long as he don't tear up while doing it.
As I watch this, I'm struck, and I'm sure many people are struck, whatever their politics may be. You're a sitting senator, you're in the room, and you identify yourself. We hear you identify yourself. I'm Senator Alex Padilla, I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I heard you say it, I think at least 3 times. And then this happens to you. I'm just curious, I'm sure maybe there's some part of you in that moment, you're saying, well, I'm a sitting senator, this is not good.
And shout out to Hellbat. He said, this is the guy in the video I'm thinking about. Yeah, he was charged out. He was escorted out. Sorry. He was escorted out because he charged the podium. So he fucked around and found out. Like, exactly. It's like, bro, what did you thought was going to happen? And he even said there himself, like, yeah, the rhetoric got out of control. So I went up there, AKA you charged the podium. What do you think was going to happen? That is absolutely ridiculous. Like, these Dems, like, they literally act like spoiled children. Like, bro, who you think you're better than anybody else? Like, that'll happen to any reporter, civilian, anybody else. You're a senator. It happens to me. Like, oh, how could this ever happen to somebody like me?
This isn't going to end badly. But you still had to be shocked, right? I mean, what was your emotion in that moment? I mean, there's not a position that you would have ever expected to find yourself in a press conference, suddenly being tackled and wrestled and thrown to the ground and had handcuffs put on you?
Look, it took some restraint. Growing up where I grew up and how I grew up, Aaron, trust me, it's not easy when...
He did. Basically, he was trying to get around the authorities. He was basically trying to get in that girl's face. And I'm just like, you thought that they were going to let you do that, G?
Handcuffs put on you?
Look, it took some restraint. Growing up where I grew up and how I grew up, Aaron.
Boom. He's right there trying to push through authorities. Right there trying to push up against them and get past them.
It's not easy when you may be pushed around like that by a law enforcement official.
Because think about it. He's trying to push forward. Why are you trying to push forward if you're not trying to charge at the lady? Like, think about it. If he was let's just say it was a mishap and maybe he just stepped forward like, yo, what you talking about? And they start pushing him back and he just start going back with him and he puts his hands up like this, then yeah, okay, cool. Maybe he just, he kind of fell in a little bit to it. But to charge or keep walking up, people are trying to push you back. You're trying to push against them, trying to go where they're not trying to let you go. What do you think is going to happen?
To have that restraint because it's a physical reaction. But you know that if you don't oblige, it can escalate.
And low-key, he's a big guy. This guy is a big guy. He kind of towers over everybody. Like, bro is low-key 6 foot plus. He's towering over everybody, and I could see why they kind of manhandled him. And I'll tell you something right now from experience: when you're 6 foot plus, they bring the big boys out for you. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I think that my guys know when you're 6 foot plus and you're dealing with the police or authorities in any manner, they always bring the big boys out. Like, trust me, if somebody called the cops on me and they know my profile, they're bringing 6'3" plus.
Reaction. But you know that if you don't oblige, it can escalate even more so. So I think I was very, very restrained with everything that happened there. Flash forward to now I'm getting walked down a hall in handcuffs, not being told where we're going. Are they escorting me outside? I don't know. Am I taken to a detention facility? I don't know. It's probably not to another conference room to, go await the briefing, which never happened, by the way. After this all went down, the very folks I was supposed to meet with just said, no briefing.
He's a big guy.
All. So, it saddens me, not just my kids that are watching this, and I've had to talk them through what happened and what it means and why I do what I do, but so many kids around the country seeing an administration that puts United States Senators.
No, we just see an emotional man who couldn't control his emotions, who tried to walk up or basically charge the podium. And let's say he just tried to walk up there. After people try to push him back and he tried to bump back against them, that's pretty much him trying to charge the podium at that point.
In handcuffs. This is not normal. We cannot treat it as normal.
No, sir, it is absolutely normal. If anybody was to do what you were going to do, they'd have got the same treatment. So you sound ridiculous.
No, it's not normal.
No, it's very normal.
Secretary Noem, she came out afterwards, and I'll play you what she said. I know you have since had a 10 to 15-minute conversation with her, and I want to ask you about what happened in that. But I wanted to play for you first because I know you may not have had a chance to hear this. She went on Fox News. She talked about the incident. Here's what she said happened.
This man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room. He didn't say who he was until he was already had been lunging.
Oh, wow. All right, let's go back a little bit more. Already lunging. She even said he was lunging. But, it's Kristi Noem, and I wouldn't say, hey, look, I'm not going to just completely demonize the man, but from the video footage and the way he's even talking, it sounds like he did kind of make a bit of a lunge or a charge for the young lady.
Fox News, she talked about the incident. Here's what she said happened.
This man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room.
Still
he didn't say who he was
until
he was already had been lunging forward, and people were trying to detain him for quite a period of time.
So that's what she said. I don't know whether that was before or after you spoke to her. She said you had a great conversation. What can you share about that conversation? Would you agree?
It's so funny. He didn't break a law. He just got unruly and he got escorted out. That's what happens during these press conferences. So, but I don't know. Secretary Noem could have charged, and maybe Secretary Noem could have charged them with something, but I doubt she would do that. So as far as a law that he broke, no, he was just removed because he couldn't contain himself. He couldn't emotionally contain himself like an adult. But this is a senator, though. Pathetic.
Agree. It was great.
Well, first of all, from the interview, of course, lies. We've already established I did not barge into the room. I wasn't lunging at her or anybody. And yes, I identified myself. So when the cuffs came off, they offered a meeting with the secretary. And Aaron, look, I'm just trying to do.
Yeah, that's probably the worst he can get. I think I've seen somebody in the chat say it. Disorderly conduct. That'll probably be the worst this man gets.
Do my job as a senator. When we ask questions in committee and don't get answers, okay, let's try another approach. We send formal letters, whether it's on my behalf or on behalf of so many of my colleagues requesting information as to what the heck they're doing. They're not responded to. And so, yes, when I had a potential audience with the secretary, I took it. Sadly, still not forthcoming with any sort of data or details, because here's the problem.
Any apology? Any apology for what happened?
You would hope that that's how the meeting would have started, but no apology, no acknowledgement whatsoever. But it's the Trump administration, so I'm not holding my breath for.
Bruh, you should be the one apologizing. Yo, I'm sorry for raising my voice. I got a bit out of control there. I got a bit emotional about what you were saying. But do you think we can have this conversation later on so I can really get into the depth of it? That's being an adult. Like, dog, is not that hard. You could have pulled her to the side and been like, yo, my name is Senator Padilla. I would like to talk to you because you know what you would say was kind of firing me up. So I kind of had to leave. But now that I got you alone, can we have this conversation? It's as easy as that. Like, doing all that right there, you're just egging people on. And then you're acting immature. And then you want to go ahead and call out the Trump administration for what? For your immaturity? No, we're not doing this with y'all.
Or decency, decorum, or manners here. One of the big points I was trying to make with her, is, look, I get if the Trump administration was doing what Trump's out on the campaign trail. Let's focus on dangerous, violent criminals for detention and deportation. There's no disagreement there. There's no debate there. But that's not what's happening on the streets of Los Angeles and throughout the country. There are some, and that's a good thing, but when they're cruelly detaining and deporting, oftentimes without due process, so many other hardworking people who our country relies on, that is not in our national interest.
So on that,
If they're illegal, they gotta go. I don't care if it's your homie or your favorite illegal. Like I said, I don't care if they're black, white. Don't matter. I do not matter. I don't even care if they're from the space above. They're an illegal alien. They gotta go.
front, just in LA, talking to people and hearing what people were saying, they would say, well, I was here legally. Someone would say, I came here illegally as a kid, but then I went through the process and I'm legal now.
Yeah.
One person was talking about how they actually are working as someone who cleans the rooms for ICE agents who are staying in hotels detaining people. Right. And they're too scared to go to work to clean the rooms, even though they need the money because they're worried the ICE agent staying there might detain them just because they're Hispanic.
And are they legal? That's what I'd ask. I'm like, ma'am, they have nothing to fear if they're legal. If they have a fear of ICE, then that means their papers aren't right. You should not fear ICE at all. There should be no fear in your heart of ICE if you are a legal citizen. If you are a natural born U.S. citizen, there should be no fear in your heart. If you're telling me there's fear in your heart, then you might be lying to us about your legal status then, because I'm going to have to question, well, why are you afraid? I mean, they're only here for illegals. Unless you're an illegal, then you're honestly good. You shouldn't even be focused on this too much.
And that brings me to the DHS. They're putting out images of Uncle Sam urging Americans to, in their words, report all foreign invaders to ICE. That's actually came out from the official X account for the Department of Homeland Security. Deport all foreign invaders to ICE. Where is this headed?
Yeah.
Shout out.
Well, look, Trump and his entire administration.
I'm sorry, but are you outraged by this? Report all foreign invaders. ICE. I'm crying. Shout out, man. Help your country and yourself. Report all foreign alien invaders, man. Let's go. Let's go, man. I love it. Shout out Homeland Security. Let's let them know that we're serious.
Where is this headed?
Yeah. Well, look, Trump and his entire administration are great at misinformation and disinformation, at causing chaos, at causing division. Where is this going? It's going to keep getting worse. This is how authoritarianism happens unless and until the people speak up and push back. And so that's why you've seen so many protesters, vast majority peaceful protesters, not just in and around Los Angeles this last week, but increasingly in other cities. So we have to.
Yes, there are, ICE riots, I guess, or riots going all over the state. Well, not the state, but the nation. And it's kind of weird because I believe, what was it? Atlanta. I think they're doing it in San Antonio, New York. They're pretty much like going crazy on all the cities that they know are next. Like they know we're coming for them next. And they know they're the worst offenders. That's why they're going ahead and protesting now, because they feel like they might have felt like LA was too late. They said, nah, you should have protested day one. They did. The problem is it doesn't matter. We're still going to get you up out of there. And here's the thing. If you guys want to make it a problem, then this is what's going to happen. All these sanctuary cities are going to be shut down under some like type of martial law if you guys continue doing this. If you guys want to protect these illegals, the job is going to get done regardless. Okay, guys, it is what it is. And if you guys want to point out about the illegals on the farm that Trump's allowed to keep, well, look, we'll get to that argument when we get there. Apparently, Trump is going to work something out special, and we'll hold him accountable saying that, yo, yeah, you should get that for all illegals then. But we don't know what that is, to be quite honest with you. We don't know what it's going to look like, because he kind of does have to uphold the law and pretty much say, well, you are illegal immigrants. You do got to leave, even if you are on the farm or in the hotels. And we do kind of need you in those areas. Who knows? It should have never got like that, but it is what it is.
Continue to exercise our First Amendment rights. Keep it peaceful. Violence is not tolerated. Violence is not condoned. That will have its consequences, but people need.
Stick to shin. No one can fight, bro. Ow. Ow. God damn. Like, bro. That hurt a little bit. That hurt a little bit. I felt that. He's like, stick to shin. No one can fight it. You're going down instantly. Shout out my man Vladstein, though.
Need to continue to speak up because this is not normal.
I mean, yes, it is. It's very normal. You went in there, acted a fool, and you got what you got. All right, now, this is the lady that apparently, I think she assaulted an ICE agent. This lady right here.
And joining me now for her first interview since her indictment is Democratic Congresswoman LaMonica McIver of New Jersey. She, of course, serves on the House Homeland Security and Small Business Committees. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Casey.
So I just want to start, do you still plan to plead not guilty to these federal charges?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to pleading not guilty. Look forward to my day in court. And so, I'm not guilty and really looking forward to entering that plea.
So I want to take our audiences back to what happened that day when you, two of your colleagues, and of course, the mayor had gone to this detention facility. And I want to put up, this is video, and I want to make sure our audiences know, this is video that was provided by the Department of Homeland Security. No doubt other angles are being pursued. But we're going to put it up on the screen here. Hopefully everyone will also be able to see the two of us as well. But I was hoping that you could describe from your perspective.
She did bump the man.
What happened here? What was going through your mind? How would you characterize the actions that you are taking, considering what people...
God damn, man. You got no reason being that big. You make too much money.
Well, first of all, we were there for an oversight visit along with my colleagues. This is something we've done.
Yeah, I know. And that was the problem. Like, the problem wasn't that you guys were there for an oversight visit. You guys brought in a crowd with you. You literally brought a group of people with you, which was supposed to be just you and your colleague coming in for an oversight visit, which is supposed to happen, to be quite honest. But you guys effed that up when you brought an angry mob with you purposefully. Remember that part.
Done in the past in New Jersey, just miles away from another detention center that we visited before, and the situation was escalated because of Department of Homeland Security and ICE. The whole tension of this situation, the whole, people are calling it different things, rather a scuffle or, commotion that was happening, that was caused by ICE and Homeland Security. At the time, it was very confusing about what was happening. It was a very scary time for us because we were trying to figure out kind of what was happening. But at the end of the day, we were there to just do an oversight visit, which is our jobs. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And so to have that play out was something that we definitely did not expect to happen.
Sure. Right. And again, I do want to point out, you're the one in the red blazer in this video for people who may be having trouble discerning what's happening. You said it felt like a scary situation. Would you say that this video shows you trying to defend yourself? How would you characterize what's going on?
I mean, there was a ton of different things happening. I mean, from trying to, number one, get in to do our jobs, right? We were there to do an oversight visit. We had already been there for over an hour waiting before this whole, scenario played out. But at the end of the day, that was the number one thing that we were trying to do was.
Well, lady, as soon as that whole scenario played out, you kind of should have removed yourself. Been like, all right, we got to come here a different day. We didn't know the protesters were coming, which you most likely did. But yeah. If you guys low-key didn't foresee that, you guys should have just left for another day.
Do our jobs, and the situation, once again, that occurred was all because of Homeland Security and ICE. They created this commotion where they went to, unlawfully arrest the mayor of the largest city of New Jersey, and it was so unnecessary. The confrontation was unnecessary, and it did not have to occur because, once again, we were there to just do our jobs and have an oversight visit of Delaney Hall.
When you
man, shoot, some of y'all got to explain to me. That's an interesting comment. No, I mean, where did the government break the law, my friend? I'm a bit confused. Where did the government break the law? I am, like I said, and then sometimes you guys don't even know the law enough to make that assessment. But let's get on to the next video, guys. Have you ever used the women's restroom? Brendan Gill grills JP Pritzker. All right, guys, let's get right into it.
Gill from Texas. Today, I recognize is Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Pritzker, do you know how much illegal immigration costs your state each year?
No, sir, I do not.
Costs over $780 per family per year. That's a lot of money, isn't it?